Welcome to the Speak by Design podcast, where we study personal style, message structure, and message strategy so you can become a consistently compelling force. Let's dig in. You are the very best coach for you. There is no one who is with you all the time, able to understand your audiences to the level that you do. You are the person who is in the arena, in the interaction. You're the one who knows the most and knows what you in particular need to hear to be performing at the best level. And this is true for sports. This is true for business. Imagine that you are pitching a new prospective customer to provide an annual service for them. And you've put in tons of time on preparing the PowerPoint. The team has gotten together and studied the client and customer situation. You know the problem really well. You go in, you present a solution, and they say, we don't want to do that. Have you considered X? And you haven't considered X. And you freeze and then start rambling and come across really anxious, and the meeting starts to go south. The meeting ends, you leave with your team, and your leader says to you, wow, that didn't go well. We should have prepared better. That's what your leader says to you, and then you go off on your own and start spiraling in your head, beating yourself up for what you could have done, should have done. And you do this because you think it's going to make you improve for the next time. Most of us have that kind of internal psychology going on where we beat ourselves up to motivate ourselves to be better next time. Now, I want you to think of your most recent version of this, where something didn't go well in a meeting or a presentation or even a one-on-one conversation that you wished you to handle differently. And go back to that day and think, what did I need to hear to feel better and recover and be more resilient? What did I need to tell myself? What do I wish that leader had said to me instead? Maybe I needed and wanted that leader to say, that was not so bad. We found out they have a different preference. Now we can come back to them and suggest another meeting. Let's ask for a follow-up. The leader could have been very encouraging, but the leader wasn't. We can't expect the people around us, our peers or our leaders, to say the things we need to hear in those moments when we are surprised or we are disappointed in our own performance. People don't know what you need to hear, and it's not their job to tell you the things that are going to make you be great. You have to tell yourself those things. And you are the person to do that. So what I'm going to share are 5 different ways you can be a better coach for yourself. And they all require you to change the inner dialogue inside the head. Okay, so number 1 is developing a nurturing voice, an inner voice that sounds like the best parent you could imagine. Now, some of you had exceptional parents, but even the best of parents didn't say things in a nurturing way all the time. Why? Because they were dealing with their own gaps in maturity. So sometimes they would say things very critical, like, you should have done this. Did you think about this? You could have done this better. Instead, I want you to say, oh, well, that was different than we expected. I'll try this other thing next time. And always thinking about, what do I need to hear to recover and respond in the best way? Instead of, oh, there you go again. You always do that. That negative voice in your head needs to take a back seat. And we need to bring the person to the forefront inside your head. I feel like many of us feel like we have different people inside our head. Bring the person to the forefront who's going to be the most positive force in your head. And why positive? Because most of us are coming from a place of believing we're not good enough. We're always telling ourselves how deficient we are and that we have this gap and we have a weakness and we need to get stronger and stronger. But if you can start coming from a more positive place of that feels more innovative and creative, like, oh, next time I'll try this other angle, or next time I'll listen better, next time I'll ask more questions versus telling them the answer. When you're talking to yourself that way in a next time, forward thinking angle, you are not coming at yourself from, oh, you're so deficient. Oh, you're not good enough. And this nurturing voice is the voice that, when it's really loud, it helps you get through performance review cycles in a much more resilient way. People are over focusing on how they measure up on performance reviews to the point where they care more about what their organization thinks about them than what they themselves think about themselves. Care more about what you think about you versus how your company sees you or how your manager sees you. Their opinion is interesting and gives you a nice perspective, but know that their perspective still is biased. And if it doesn't match with your own values of who you want to be, does it even matter? Does it even matter? And sometimes I look at performance reviews with clients and I say, you've got to send me it in black and white writing because I think you're already distorting what the feedback was. There's so much distortion in how you all receive feedback. Because you're anchoring it to things that have happened to you in the past. But a nurturing voice could, let's say the performance feedback is, you could be more commanding in meetings. Now, I would take that. If somebody told me I could be more commanding in meetings, I would say, you got it. I'll be there tomorrow. Get ready. Sit back and relax. I'm going to run the show. That's the kind of attitude you could have when you read performance feedback. But most people read that feedback of, oh, I could be a more commanding presence. They don't believe in me. They think I'm shy. They think I'm deferential. They think. Who cares what they think? Do not care what other people think. Now, some of you already say, I have to care what people think. That's what they determine my fate. But when you care to that degree what other people think, you will always hold back from being yourself. You cannot be your authentic self at work when you are valuing other people's opinion to that high degree. Now, some of you are saying, but then I'm going to become delusional and I might become arrogant. Don't worry. Your organization will not let that happen. People do 360s on leaders. You will get plenty of feedback, but it's when you care about their thoughts about you more than your own that then we've lost our real identity. And throughout this process of coaching yourself, you are becoming more of you than you've ever been before. You're developing a stronger sense of self. You're having an awakening. That's what coaching yourself successfully will feel like. So develop that encouraging voice of, oh, there, it's not that bad. Like, what is that warm and wonderful thing that someone could say to you after a mistake that would make you immediately say, oh, it's not that bad? That's the voice you need. And those of you who have children, start practicing this encouraging voice on your kids. I'm going to tell you a story. My son spilled a big cup full of hot chocolate all over himself. And he was so embarrassed in that moment. That's the best way for me to describe what he felt. Because for one, it was hot and scalding and he wanted to scream. And then secondly, he was wearing all white and it was just a big brown muck all over his sweatshirt and sweatpants. And he looked at me. I gently smiled and said, there, it's okay. It's really okay. You'll put on my coat when we leave and it won't be that big of a deal. And I said, I know you want to scream right now. Just take a deep breath. It doesn't look that bad. And he was able to recover. Now, those are the words I would hope that as he gets older, he says to himself. But if I had done something like this, oh my gosh, get some napkins. Oh gosh, how'd that happen? And had a big reaction myself of like, let's just leave. I am teaching him the fight or flight. Actually, I'm teaching him flight. And I'm also starting to teach him to do that inside his head. If we don't control our own minds, we are very susceptible to the negative behaviors of the people around us. But when you say the wrong thing, ask the wrong question, or just make a mistake, that is the time to say, "Ooh, I was wrong." And maybe you need to voice that to the room and say, "You're right, room. This is better. Let's go this direction." And come in really strong and confident about changing your position, coaching yourself to feel good the whole time. I find it interesting when you watch in a group meeting when somebody says an idea that the leader shoots down in front of the group and then that person doesn't speak up again. I'm so curious what is going on in their mind. Is it the negative self talk of, "Ooh, I was wrong. I don't know enough. I better be quiet. I better just listen. Nobody likes my ideas." How negative did the self talk become? And then another person who says the wrong thing and their idea gets shut down, and then they fight for their idea and say, "No, no, no, let's not discount that idea until we fully unpacked it. Let me explain it further." Or the person who says, "Oh, you're right. That's not the right direction we should take, but tell me more about your idea because I'm not sure about X, Y, and Z." So how you behave when somebody pushes on your ideas, that's very telling about what your inner chatter is. This inner voice, this encouraging voice, is the voice that will end up growing your courage. And the courage is what needs to be increasing while you're going through a transformation, while you're working on expanding the way you speak and strengthening your charisma and your problem solving skills and your ability to articulate strategy that's clean and clear and memorizable to your audiences. That's going to take a lot of courage. But if you're breaking yourself down from the inside, you're never going to get where you could get. That encouraging voice. So that's number one. Number two, in coaching yourself, you've got to watch yourself. You need to record yourself, and you can record yourself in two different ways. One, through video, where you're watching your delivery style, you're analyzing your facial expressions, your gestures. Are there gestures you're using that look chaotic? Are you not using enough gesture? Are you using gestures that make you come across assertive, motivational, maybe even more collaborative? Do you have a nice combination of expansive gesture, something that looks more grand, and micro gesture? So that video is very helpful. Now, when you watch yourself with video, all of us will spend more time and energy focusing on how we look and sound. When you listen to just an audio recording, so this is the other way you could record yourself. The second way is through a voice memo app. Or even I notice my iPhone is allowing me to record phone calls. It makes a little alert for the other person on there. And so maybe if you're with a team member and you say, "Let's record this call," record the call and listen back to your way of speaking. Why I like the voice memo or the audio recording better is that focuses you exactly on your words. And remember, you want to be the kind of leader where every word counts. Every word has meaning. Every word is pushing the conversation forward. If you're focusing on your gesture and your facial expressions too much, often we stop listening to the exact wording. If you're ready to start focusing on making every word count, so some of you do need more help on the delivery side, and some of you need more help on the messaging. Decide where you fall on that and whether video recording is better than audio recording for you or vice versa. But for myself, audio recording is better for me where I am in my own journey. Now, the third idea, keep a notebook by your bed. For so many reasons, this is helpful because right before you go to bed, you think about things you need to do tomorrow, and then you wake up the next day, and most of us forget them if we did not write them down. So keep a notebook by your bed. But what I want you to do in this notebook that is most important is acknowledging the successes that you had. Because by acknowledging the successes and the achievements, what you have completed, what has moved forward, you are starting to build your inner confidence through accomplishment, which most people say that that's how they're wired. Is that how you feel, that you have to have delivered 20 presentations to a large group of 100 plus people before you feel confident saying that you're good at presenting to large groups? So people who believe that they have to have all of these repetitions or accomplishments, they need to journal, because that's you forcing yourself to acknowledge, yes, this is happening. I am growing in skills, in knowledge, in experience. It's happening, and I deserve to feel more confident because of what I've done. Now, but we also have to believe in ourselves before we've done things the first time, because so many people believe, well, the first time's going to be terrible. It doesn't have to be terrible. We don't have to commit to the first time being a nightmare. But acknowledging what you have done, that you have had successful client meetings, and you have had great phone calls and Zoom calls and group presentations, and that things are moving forward, that's going to help you keep building momentum and inner confidence. Now, the fourth idea is that you study role models. Now, who are your role models versus my role models? That's going to be very different. And it really depends on the type of work that you do. So, for example, let's say you're in a risk management field or profession. Studying great salespeople might be interesting to you, but you might need somebody who's a little bit more subdued and patient and relaxed. And that might be also based upon the type of company you work in, or maybe you want to be an enigma or a rebel in your field that behaves differently, a maverick of sorts. Then it is good for you to study people who are breaking the bounds of what's expected in their careers. So finding these role models and studying them is very important. For myself, I've enjoyed studying Katie Couric. I've enjoyed studying how Elon Musk dialogues, because he has no problem rejecting the question, rejecting the other person's opinion. And I love the courage that he uses in his communication. Katie Couric, I love the relational way she gets through an interview. I think she thinks on her feet so well. She's a deep listener too. She uses the other person's language. So she's building trust while she gets into the interview. And she's never afraid to ask the hard question, but she gives she gives the conversation some time before she makes that switch. Very advanced in her interviewing skills. If you're looking for some role models, let's say that's a hard question for you to answer, who you admire for their speaking skills, check out on YouTube. We have a Speak by Design playlist. And years back, we made this for our clients so that they could go find really good examples of C-suite executive level communication. I don't even think you need to watch the full video. Just watching the first 5 minutes of a TED Talk or another conference type speech will teach you so much, because that's the part that most speakers have really thoughtfully designed. The good speakers spend so much time on their openings. Now, the fifth thing I want to share, and this is the last thing in our discussion today, is how important it is to not criticize yourself and not dwell on your mistakes. You are going to say the wrong thing. You are going to have bad meetings. That is expected. It's not possible for every meeting to be a win where everyone's applauding and hugging after the meeting. And the hard meetings, those are the meetings where you learn the most about you. You learn the most about your customer, client, or team member or leader. It's usually a pivot point where things are about to improve. That's the best way to look at conflict, the best way to look at mistakes and failure, as those were the learnings. Those were the days where we took an action. It wasn't the right action, but we learned from it, and we're so thankful that we took the action. Now it's time to take another action. So number 5 is no dwelling on mistakes. You move on quickly. No dwelling on the past. No dwelling. No, oh, remember the last meeting we had? Oh, remember the last time I brought this up? Nobody cares. And tell yourself, I don't care what you did last time. That doesn't mean anything. Tomorrow's a new day. Today's a new day. Let's say you work with a very difficult person and you can't get away from them. You have to make decisions with them, you have to report to them. And every time you go into meetings, you're starting to brace yourself for the fear that you have that they're going to behave like they did last time. That is a really negative situation for you when you're thinking about it that way. Instead, I want you to coach yourself this way. Let's call this person Mary, that's difficult. Mary always asks those types of questions. Mary always makes that facial expression. Mary always has those interesting tendencies toward debating me. I know she's going to do it. That's Mary. I love her anyway. So it's even using your encouraging voice towards the people that are driving you nuts. So this is incredible love, not just for you, for yourself, and even encouraging yourself to enjoy the work more, the journey of the problem solving, and giving yourself a little more patience toward yourself, those around you, and the speed at which the problem is getting solved. I hope you already feel better from this. I've loved sharing these 5 tips with you on how to coach yourself. It reminds me to be a better coach to myself too. Share this with someone else who you know has a lot of negative self-talk, because this can make a huge difference and it doesn't need to take a lot of time. Just looking at things differently and developing a kinder inner way with yourself can make burnout disappear. It can remove friction in relationships, and it can help you have the courage to say the things you need to say and ask the questions you need to ask. You are the best coach you will ever have. All right, everyone, have a great day. If you are enjoying all of these lessons, but now you're hungering to turn all of this into skills and habits that make this work intuitive and natural so that you don't have to think about it, then you want to join Speak by Design University. That's our coaching program that gives you private coaching, group coaching with me, group training, self-paced learning, as well as exceptional networking with other people like you. This program is for managers and above, people whose careers are on fire and they're looking to hit their next level, and they want to do that sooner rather than later. Check it out at speakbydesign.com/join. That's speakbydesign.com/join, and you can start with us at the 1st of next month. We hope to see you there.